The all-new HTC One, the all-new Galaxy S5, the all-new Nokia X. We've got a whole lot of last-minute speculation on all the all-new technology we'll be seeing over the next few weeks, with most of it expected to break cover at the world's largest mobile tech show in Barcelona, starting this Monday. As our colleagues Anton and Jaime settle in over in Spain, we're backing them up from the States on episode 084 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week audio podcast where we discuss smartphones, tablets, wearables, and most things in between. I'm your host, Michael Fisher, editorial director at Pocketnow, and joining me for today's show are the indomitable Joe Levi from Utah, clicking his mouse over there. Howdy do?
Ahoy hoy.
I'm going to start... Oh, you stole Steven's lead in. That's nice. I'm going to start calling you John C. Dvorak because you fidget, and I hear what you're fidgeting. Is it a ballpoint pen or is it a keyboard clacker?
No, I was scrolling through and reading the articles that I'm reading.
Do you have like a mouse from 1992? Is it?
No, it's a Bluetooth. Nice. It's far away. Shut up. Okay, I'll try and be quiet.
See, this is why your levels are so high. This is why I'm like, oh my God, we can hear everything. Don't burp. Also joining us today is the iconic Taylor Martin from North Carolina, but Taylor, for some reason, decided his life would be easier if he had an office that was not in his home anymore, because he used to have an office in his home. But now he has an office far away from his home, and now every time we want to do a podcast, 5 minutes before the show starts, he's like, hey, I'm stuck in traffic. I'll be there soon. So he'll be here soon.
Which is crazy because doesn't he use Waze and doesn't he have that cool automatic link to help him get through all of this stuff? He
has basically every piece of hardware and software that could make his commute better. I just think it's poor planning. What about you, studio audience? What do you think? If I had the board up right now, I would do a big old applause round, and then then our fake audience and us would get along. But real audience out there, thank you for joining us. Let's see if we can knock out these announcements before Taylor comes in and ruins our flow. What do you think about that?
That sounds like a plan.
Why don't you tell Joe? Joe. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find all of Pocketnow's MWC 2014 coverage?
Well, we've got this website thing. It's on the inner tubes. Hey. You can go to pocketnow.com, and of course, it's going to be all over the place. I'm not going to tell you the URL.
Yeah, because the URL is so unsexy, right? It's like pocketnow.com/tag/MVC-2014. But if you go to the front page, the banner is right below all the rotators up top. It's between the front page and the top fancy stuff, and it's got Jaime and Anton's faces on there. Breaking news, Joe. Jaime and Anton have just landed in Barcelona. I've just received a message from them, and they say the scotch is already flowing.
Scotch.
Scotch. You know, after our debacle with CES, listeners, where we arrived much too late where I arrived much too late because of the weather, and then we left much too early, we planned MVC a little bit differently. These guys are there very early. And they will be setting up and doing stuff. And hopefully we'll have them on a special edition podcast next week when all this stuff starts to come down. That's going to be rad.
That'd be awesome.
Before then, though, capping off this week, another episode of the Pocketnow VIP. It has been a month already since we interviewed Erica Griffin, which was a wonderful fun time despite Google's epic fail that day.
Which, by the way, I am so terribly, terribly disappointed that I was not somehow involved in that.
Are you a big fan?
Oh, are you kidding?
Of course you're a big fan.
Yeah, Erica's amazing.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's like hour-long videos that you actually want to watch. It's amazing. Like, I didn't think I could spend 50 minutes watching a video on the Moto G, but she makes it more than bearable. It's awesome.
And have you heard her sing?
I have not. No.
Amazing.
Well,
amazing.
You know me and the actor thing. I don't, musical theater, and there's that divide there. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, theater snob, whatever.
It's not.
Anyway, so I'm sure Erica's going to be listening to this. So big shout out from me. Wow, great to have you on the show. I wish I could have been here. That would have been cool.
Enjoyable. I don't know why I started a sentence that way. That's not true. Ironically, no, that's also not what I'm trying to say. Point is, that was episode 5. It's already up. You can go watch it if you want to. If you missed that interview, it was a lot of fun. And episode 6 is this week. It is time to meet Austin Evans. So we're going to meet Austin and talk all about his YouTube empire and try not to dwell too long on his recent house fire. But yeah, really, really great guy. I met him the same time I met Marquez Brownlee and Lamar Wilson and Ryan Bates and a bunch of other people a couple years ago at the Galaxy S3 launch event. So it'll be really, really great to have him on the VIP. It is long overdue. So listeners, tune in for that. If you want to get your questions in, please shoot them to podcast@pocketnow.com, the same inbox we use for this show. Joe, now that that's out of the way, what do you say we talk a little bit about the matters of concern this week?
Yes, let's do.
Why don't you kick us off with the Samsung news?
Samsung is getting out of the smartphone business and are just going to make washers and dryers.
Washers, dryers, and the smartwatches that talk to them, yes.
And vacuum cleaners that they're suing Dyson about. No. There's this new phone. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. We think it's going to be called the Galaxy S5. Kind of an important thing. Lots of rumors coming out around that, including a potential announcement at MWC.
Probable announcement. Like it is all but certain that we will see that announcement happen. Yes.
We can't say it will happen, but yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, at the Unpacked 5 event, which is actually not the 5th Unpacked event, it's like the 9th.
Yeah, but the number is there to...
Right.
It's not the number of the event, it's the number of the 5. It's the Galaxy S5.
Exactly
we suspect. Right. Maybe. We'll see.
So how are we going to be covering that? We're going to be, Anton and Jaime will be at MWC in Barcelona. They'll be on site for the live announcement, and Samsung is live streaming that to New York City as well. So that means Adam Lane and I will be in New York City covering it from this end. So you guys are going to get a lot of Samsung coverage on Monday. So just be ready for that.
Let us hope that it is not more tap dancing and stuff, because that was awkward.
Definitely. And actually, I think it was last week's show, we covered a story that Steven ran about an insider at Samsung saying, expect it to be more low-key. And that's fine. If it's anything like the Note 3 announcement, that'll be great, because that was really, they stuck to message and they didn't patronize anybody, and it was really lovely.
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be low key. It just has to be low weird. And if it does that, that's great. But what do we know about this phone? What are we suspecting?
Well, the Galaxy S5 is stocked in terms of specs, as you might have heard, and as you might expect. We don't know anything about the physical embodiment, which I think is crazy. You know, we've heard all these conflicting things about, well, it's going to have a metal chassis. No, it's not. It's going to have a special flash. Yes. Maybe it's going to have a 2K screen in some of its incarnations, whatever. But we don't know really what the chassis is going to look like. And it stands in stark contrast to when we talk about HTC in a second, where, you know, we know that phone's what color underwear it's wearing, you know. So, like, this S5 is a mystery to us in some of the ways that I am most interested in, which is look and feel.
Yeah, no, to me, it seems like on the S5 at keeping not necessarily rumors, but verification of rumors to a very, very low minimum when compared to some of the previous Galaxy S's. Would you concur?
Well, the beginning part of your sentence was cut off there, but were you saying that Samsung did a very good job of keeping the rumors to a low boil?
Well, yeah, the rumors were there, but the verification of the rumors, any substantiation to those rumors, I think they've kept to a pretty low amount, comparatively speaking.
No, I agree. And I'm wondering if the announcement is slightly earlier this year because, as a reaction to that, I was just imagining this earlier today. I'm like, what if Samsung saw the massive amount of leaks surrounding the S4, and to a lesser degree the S3 before that, but of course then the Note 3 as well, and decided that, okay, well, the product, we're going to announce it a little further back from its availability so that we can get ahead of these leaks a little bit, and so that we're not having our surprise ruined like HTC's is. And we can go in circles on this. You know, I think some people probably think that some of these leaks are intentional. I think some of these leaks are intentional, but certainly not all of them. I would be very surprised to learn that HTC wanted to have its M8 leaked to the degree that it has been.
Yeah, they're a double-edged sword. You've got on one side a company that has a leak, whether it's intentional or not, gets a whole bunch of free press. People go wild with it. It spreads through social media and other news outlets like wildfire, and really adds a lot of what we call in the industry buzz about a product. But the other side of that is people then start speculating about what that device is going to be, what hardware it's going to have, and ultimately come up with this super wonderful, awesome device that's got like an 8K screen and a dodeca-core 5.6 gigahertz processor and 12 gig of RAM.
Dodeca-core with a lot of gigaquads in there.
Exactly. Yes. It powers the holodecks.
Yes.
But you get all that, and then when the actual device comes out and it doesn't live up to those quote-unquote expectations that never were really announced by the company, now there's kind of a letdown, and people say, well, I'll wait for the next one. It'll have what I need. So a company's got to be careful with what it leaks and what leaks are out there to make sure that they mitigate people's expectations. And I don't know if there are companies that are trying to steer the leaks and the rumors in a certain direction or not. I certainly hope they are.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sure there are. Yeah, and that's a big headache for PR people. It's a big tactical thing for marketing folks if they want to take advantage of some of them.
Absolutely.
Or to punk them. We would talk about this in depth. Evan Blast was again scheduled to be on the show with us of Leaks. This time it was we who had to cancel. Unfortunately, with some of our workforce in Barcelona, we could not afford to devote the resources to that show, listeners, that we wanted to. So do not worry. We will have Evan on the weekly soon. But until I'm 100% sure about it, I'm not going to post another teaser because that was... So anyway, the point is we're going to talk leaks again. And then hopefully we're going to be able to get the flip side of that leak story from an executive of a major OEM at some point on the weekly.
Yes.
I've got a really, really good kind of back-to-back show schedule in my mind for that. But let's stick close to these leaks for now. Let's stay close to the Galaxy S5. What do we think about the 2K screen? Now, Joe, we've had this conversation a billion times about whether it's worth it on such a small footprint to put that many pixels in there, and I don't want to have that conversation again because
we'll have it over and over again. You know,
once we have the device in hand, we'll talk about it some more.
Yeah, it was. Do we need 720p? Do we need 1080p? Now it's do we need 2K? It's the same conversation and the same arguments, pro and con. They're doing it because they can, and the screen's going to look amazing if they can do it. And do we need it?
They can do it. So that's the question. Are we going to see some delays? Because I think that's a pretty sturdy rumor here. Although, it's coming from Sam Mobile and ET News. And it is saying that the industry sources claiming that production issues with the 2K screen are forcing Samsung to delay the premium version of the Galaxy S5. So they'll split the run, the rumor goes, into a 1080p version and a 2K version. This sounds perfectly feasible. Perfectly, believable to me. Samsung has done this before with their cameras in the Note 3. They've done it with their processors in most of their high-end Galaxy line. I would not be at all surprised to see them push a 1080p version out the door and then follow it up with a what are we calling it? 2K version
2K, yeah.
Yeah, when they're ready.
Yeah, that makes complete and total sense. And in all honesty, I'm probably going to favor the 1080p just because I don't think we need to go much bigger than that on a handheld device. Once we get up into a tablet, even a 7-inch tablet, sure, that might become more legitimate of a use, but I don't think we need it.
Now, Joe, do you know anything about power consumption? Are manufacturers doing anything to mitigate the surely astronomical power requirements of 2K and 4K screens on mobile devices at this point? Can they do anything, or is it just a matter of no? There are so many pixels that we're going to need bigger batteries.
That's a very complex, multifaceted question.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
the screen,
the only type I trade in.
Multifaceted. I'm hearing Taylor Martin in my head right now. He must be getting close.
The premise of the multifaceted.
It's multifaceted. Super Carolina. But no,
taco.
The screen itself is probably not going to take up any more power than a lesser resolution screen.
What?
I'm talking just the display itself.
Oh, okay, right.
But turning the pixels on and off and lighting them up, that's probably going to be a nominal difference in power consumption.
Even if it's an AMOLED screen with self-illuminating pixels?
Shut up.
Okay.
We're just in general.
Okay, all right.
Apples to Androids here. So what we really need to talk about regarding power consumption is that's a lot more pixels that the OS has to figure out what to light up. So a screen that's twice as large or has twice the resolution is lighting up 4 times as many pixels. It's got to figure all that out, so the graphics processor has to be a lot more beefy. We've got that capability in today's graphic processors. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more power hungry to figure out what to display on those higher def screens, but we've got the technology to do it, and I don't think we're going to see a major drop in battery life, nor do I think we're going to see any reasonable increase in battery capacity, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't think we'll need to.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to see once that actually comes out, but I don't know. It just strikes me as improbable that the power consumption requirements would be at all similar between a 1080p display and a screen with how's the math work? 4 times the pixels?
Essentially, yeah, 4 times the pixels.
Yeah, I mean,
so the display itself, probably not. Getting the pixels on the display, yeah, that's where we're going to see more stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about it. The other thing about this S5 that I am excited about, this new report, and I really hope it's true, describes, yes, a number of camera shooting modes. We're used to seeing that from Samsung. God, I hope it would be really cool if they would distill those down, because even if you never use it, like scrolling past a shot that's like just for golf swings, and in my life I would never, ever, ever have any use for that whatsoever. Like it's kind of like the same argument we've always made against a lot of TouchWiz. It's like the counter argument is, well, who cares? If you don't use it, but it's there for people who want to use it. Yeah, but if I have to see it all the time, It's annoying. Right?
Yeah, you are using it. You have to process that in your brain, and
it sounds like a BS like first world problems complaint, but
sure, absolutely.
So is this whole industry, so that's all right.
But we're talking about how to make devices faster, right? And if it takes you twice as long to get through the information because of a feature on your device, you didn't make it any faster.
You can do it much more elegantly by like boiling it down into specific subsets of groups in the menu. And I like Samsung's viewfinder software, I really do, but having used Sony's recently a lot in the Z1S and the Z1 Compact, like, boy, that's the way to do a camera. I just heard an interesting Skype sound. So before Taylor Martin gets on here, I just want to say this capacitive camera button looks awesome. It's called, apparently, side touch technology, according to this source, that would use sensors to detect when it's being pressed. So effectively what this would do is give the device a hardware camera key without mucking up the sides, like breaking the lines of the sides visually with a button.
Yeah, not only that, but a physical button is an awful lot more expensive than a capacitive button. So you're cutting costs when you're just doing capacitive versus physical.
I didn't think of that. They're very smart. Now, but on the downside, though, what do you lose? You lose half press to focus, and you lose this wonderful tactile response.
Yeah, that tactile response. That's the big thing.
But I really want to see it anyway. Like, I hope they bring it in because I just want to see what it would be like to shoot with a button like that.
Oh yeah,
I really hope that they do that and they do it well. We got a little bloop in our ears here. Taylor's so aggro. Let's add him to the call. Add to call, said the button. Taylor,
he should be calling us from his car.
I know. That's what I was
on the road.
That's what I was saying. Talk while driving. Podcast while driving.
I think that might be a safety hazard, not for myself, but for the people around me.
I want AT&T to have that on their screen protectors. Podcasting and driving. It can wait.
Hey, Taylor, what score did you get in automatic on your drive?
I haven't used automatic in a while because I switched over to having a standard OBD2 reader in my car with torque on the Nexus 7 since I installed that in my dash.
Sure, okay. As soon as I get one for my Prius, you ditch yours for something else. I can't keep up with you.
What's your score? Like 300 out of 100 because you have...
That's it for Mobile Talk on the Pocketnow Weekly this week. We're transitioning to Toyota and Automatic Speak.
Auto Talk.
Welcome to the show, Choco. That would be the riff if we did a car podcast. Yes. Awesome.
Hey, it's technology. It blends, right?
Yeah.
It's a mobile technology.
Will it blend?
I got the automatic yesterday night. I installed it in my car and tracked my first trip on the way to record this podcast. And ironically, I got a perfect 100. So there you go.
In Stitcher, there's a duo of buttons along the bottom of the app that says jump back 30 seconds and jump forward 30 seconds. Welcome to those of you who decided to jump forward 30 seconds now that we're talking phones again. Taylor, I'm glad you survived your commute. We talked a lot of trash about you in your absence, so please go back and listen to that when the show is complete. And, we're just happy to have you back just in time to talk about the HTC One. Wait for what?
This is a podcast?
This is a mobile technology podcast. Did you know that?
Whoa.
He thought he was ordering pizza.
Yeah, actually, I did that earlier.
Nice. Yeah, I had a pre-podcast burrito. It was really good. Hey, the Taylor, what's the M8 going to be called?
The all-new HTC One.
Can you hear him capitalizing the letters at the beginning of those words? The all-new HTC One. It sounds like a dish detergent, doesn't it?
It sounds horrible.
Well, hang on, though. The other option was the new one. And that was just, like, lame.
Or the 1-2. Right?
The 1-2, yes.
I like the 1-2.
I sort of liked HTC 2 for a second, because I felt like that would be a cool, like, legacy building thing, but I think a lot of people would just think it would be stupid. Oh, no, that would be so whack. That would be so, like, 2001
it's
cell
at least a
phone.
0.5 iteration.
Yeah. Well, let's talk
HTC
about
One
it.
V2.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised they didn't do that. But this allows them
Sounds much like Envy.
Yeah.
Who was saying it on Twitter? I think it was Paul O'Brien saying that HTC has so much invested in the One branding that you can even see it at football games today, all over the place. It makes sense that they would want to retain the One branding. I get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's call every future phone the One.
Well, they're not, because the mid-range is all different. It's all the Desire stuff. They've got the One line, the Desire line, and of course they're going to be bringing in, 4 other lines of mid-range stuff probably, according to the rumors.
Yeah, and we've got Samsung. I mean, there's only, one Samsung Galaxy S something, right?
Right, and the rest of it is Galaxy X, Galaxy Y, Galaxy Z.
Sure. Galaxy Nexus, that's where they should have stopped right there.
That was such a cool pairing of names. You have
nice.
2 words with X's in them right next to each other. That was such a cool product name.
They should have manufactured it in Texas. Then they could have had a third X.
Ooh,
but that means we'd have to change the rating on our podcast. So we're just going to move right on to what's next on the lineup.
That was a very smart joke. Hey,
Wow.
Tell us about the Anho, Taylor.
The Anho?
Yeah, the all-new HTC One.
I don't want to, because you called it the Anho.
Hashtag Anho.
Can we never call it that again?
No, I'm calling it that for the rest of my life. So
I quit life.
Sweet. All right. So these new renders leaked, and let's talk about. I just dumped all these links out of sequence in the rundown, guys, because it doesn't matter which order you receive them in. Listeners, you just get the info dump on the M8 and just learn about it if you haven't been following it. The first images that dropped were the champagne ones, I think, of the gold version. And I got to tell you, I think gold smartphones are the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't matter who makes it. I think they're garbage.
No. They serve a legitimate and real purpose, Michael. That's just crazy.
In like making sure that you know who not to talk to in public?
Yeah. You know who the douchebags are.
Okay. All right. Well, you're right.
It's
you're right.
Service. It's a public
service. That is true. I agree. I just got my
how else would they get their
Samsung
bling?
Unpacked. How else would they get their bling? No, it's true. But so when that happened, oh my God, Tony, yes, all is good. Thank you. I'm on the podcast. Hop on. You guys talk about gold for a second. I'm telling Tony we're all good.
Awesome, sweet. So this is how Michael writes email. And no, to everyone who has a gold smartphone out there, I'm teasing. Don't write hate mail into Michael. Yeah, no, Taylor's not, but
write it in.
I'm not teasing.
I don't like. I think they are so ugly. If you bought a gold phone, write in, please, and tell us why. And I don't just mean tell us that we're wrong or whatever. But if you bought a gold phone, tell us why you did.
Yeah,
because
let us
I want to know. I want a window into that mental process. Hey, I'm weird too, man. I put like blue accents on an ebony phone. I mean, whatever. I'm tacky too, but.
Yeah,
he dresses in Star Trek uniforms.
I do, and I mean it too. But the point is, these gold photos came out, these gold renders came out, and I'm like, I could not be less interested in this trash. And now, though, we have this beautiful, I think, gray one. It's like almost a direct, in the render at least, it looks a lot similar. It looks very similar to Apple's Space Gray. and it has black accents. What do you guys think of this look for the Anho? What?
Are you talking about the lighter gray one?
I'm talking about the one in the header image of the leak in gray and silver. Well, new fabric.
Okay, so you're not talking about the silver one. You're talking about the gray one.
The gray
Okay.
one. That's what I said. I didn't say the silver. Did I say silver?
No.
It doesn't matter.
I just wasn't sure which one you were talking about. But no, I think this is much lighter than the space gray. I don't like the space gray. I wish it were darker. But that's just me. This is darker. That's the sort of tone that I would like in mine.
Okay. Joe. So Joe's was having internet trouble before you showed up, and now despite his amazing throughput numbers, we can't, like, everyone who wants Joe Levi to be on the podcast more. I totally agree.
We're taking up a collection to get some kind of redundant internet over here.
My God, we just need to build a direct link to you.
My speeds are freaking amazing.
Joe, you're a ham radio guy. Can't we get like a single sideband link to you?
Can we do an analog recording of a ham radio podcast?
Yeah.
There you go.
On reel-to-reel tapes. Yeah.
We can't transmit anything that's company related over the air. That's a violation of the rules.
Oh. See, this is why
I just want you to know that I read your message wrong, Joe, and I read it. You guys pooped out. And
two P's. Two P's in a row, not two O's.
I didn't know what you meant. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I didn't know that.
Anton has informed me that unless we want two very tired people on the podcast, that he's not going to come on, so that's okay. This is crazy. I'm getting some serendipitous emails right now. You guys were going on and on about automatic before. I just got an email from Grand Street pimping the automatic driving assistant. Right now on my wrist. So let's keep talking about the Anho, okay? I like the silver. I like the gray one and the silver one. I have to tell you, and I think I said this on Twitter earlier, these press renders are meant to make the phone look good, and they're doing a very good job of that, okay?
Except for the gold.
Except for the gold one, which, is not redeemable in any sense. But what are they doing? Guys, what are they doing for you on that second, what did we call that thing up there, that second eyeball, that kind of squinty thing? We made fun of it last week somehow. It doesn't.
I said it looked like a spider eye.
Yeah. What are they doing to the spider eye up there? Because to me, it's diminishing it. It's making it easier to handle. And I said on Twitter that this would happen. I said that, I'm really looking forward to, over time, gradually hating the HTC One, the all-new HTC One's design less. And I do hate it less because the focus is kind of being taken off that thing. But, man, it still looks weird. What do you guys think?
I think it looks fine. I think you're just weird yourself.
You think it looks fine? See, that's right. You and I disagreed. It was Steven and I who were in our right minds, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Joe, what's your stance on this secondary thing? And more importantly, I guess, what do you think it does?
I was just going to ask, what do we think it does? Because I have no clue.
There was a lot of speculation. Was that it was a Litro-like thing that allowed for a finer control of focus.
Yeah, so what happens is they take two pictures simultaneously, and one will take a picture of a higher aperture and the other at a lower aperture, and then you can shift the focus after the fact.
Which would be very cool.
Yeah, it's either that or a better depth of field, so the same thing, but you can't change the focus afterwards, but you have a bokeh, which you don't normally get on a smartphone camera.
Hey,
not to
all you got to do is go to a flower shop if you want one of those.
Hey, I'm thinking
bokeh. I don't know how to pronounce it. Bokeh.
Bokeh. I don't know.
Mercy buckets.
Bokeh. Bokeh.
Okay. Y'all got. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't even know what I was going to say anymore. Okay. No, hey, let's just say that this thing's a 3D camera, okay?
Oh, God, no. Let's never say that again.
The reincarnation of the Evo 3D.
So, guys, I wonder, one, what they're going to do new on the software side to make Zoe even better, because I haven't carried an HTC One Rock and Blink feed in months and months and months. Yet, despite that, Zoes are so, powerfully cool that my girlfriend still asks me whenever I'm I've got my phone out, whatever phone it is. She's like, "Oh, are you going to take a Zoe?" I'm like, "No, I can't. I don't have the one anymore. I can't do it." Zoe's a really, really cool thing. So I wonder if they're going to leverage that branding and because they're going to give this second camera a name, or they're going to give the whole rig a name. Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to call it the all new HTC Zoe camera or something like that. It just strikes me as something that they might do. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
the Zoe 1-2.
The Zoe 1-2, yeah, the Zoe Duo. The HTC, the Zoe Duo on the HTC, all new HTC One.
All I gotta say is I'm glad that we don't have that big ugly fingerprint swiper thing underneath it. That's
God, that would have been a train wreck and a half. Yeah, no.
No.
Circle, square.
Yeah.
Sounds like the start to a PS3 cheat code or something.
Yeah, it does. But so, what else is on here? We see this dual tone flash, which is not going to be a surprise to anybody. I think that's a good idea, even though I don't use flash very often. What do you guys think about another thing? If you're looking at this render, listeners, you'll know what I'm talking about. This looks a lot like the HTC One, right? But
yeah.
It has I think, much wider radius corners. Like, this thing looks more palmable. It looks more rounded, a little more friendly.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and the sides look nicer. That was one of my biggest complaints with the original one, especially the silver one, because I got the one from Brandon, and
and it was all busted up?
Well, it was busted up, but like 3 weeks old, and it had like dirt stains on the white trim.
The white polycarbonate on the sides there, right?
Yeah, so now I still have it, and it's like brown on the sides, and people were commenting in one of the videos that I made. They were like, why don't you clean your phone, because that's disgusting.
Why don't you wash your phone?
Yes, because I give my phone a bath.
Yeah,
I put it in the dishwasher right before this video, and it wouldn't turn on.
When it gets all dingy like that, it reminds me of the extendable antennas on dumb phones from like a decade ago. And like you could tell when people used their teeth to extend their antenna, because their antenna was like ridiculous bacteria dingy, and it was like, what is going on with your life? Rethink your choices. It's gross.
Wow.
But I actually like the look of the side rails on the current silver one, and I'm a little sad to see them go. Mine isn't, but if I used mine every day, it would be quite dingy. So,
hey, outward bevels, I think, is the future. We need to do that on every device, not flat, not rounded, but a nice down flaring bevel, like you got on the Nexus 5.
The tumble home, yes, the battleship construction. Yeah, it's good. It's a good look, and as Nick was saying. That's who was on last week. It was Nick from HTC Source, and Android and Me was saying that this is this kind of soap dish construction, like the back wraps around to the front on the all-new HTC One.
I like it.
I like it too. I mean, I really think it looks good. I think everything looks good with the exception of that octopus cam. What?
Did you just hear the air turn on in my office?
Yeah, but it's not too bad. It's all right. We can live with
it. Did you hear it turn on though? It's like pow.
Yeah, it was a pronounced on movement.
I don't know why
now it sounds like a garage door opener, so that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it stays that way for about 10 minutes, so sorry.
Let's talk. There's more to talk about on the all-new HTC One, besides the fact that the March announcement has been scheduled.
Did we talk about how bad the name is? Because I can't remember.
We did. We talked. Yeah. We talked about hashtag Anho. We sure did.
God, stop saying that.
How do you want us to say it?
A poor innocent child dies each time you say hashtag Anho.
That's going to be the name of this podcast now. I have to give credit, by the way. The first time I saw that was Eduardo Maggio on Twitter, who hit me up with that, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I put it together. I'm like, dude, the only thing I know for sure is that hashtag is never going to happen ever. But now it should, because now I like it. Like totes. I hated it, and then I used it, and now I like it. Totes my goats. Anyway, let's. The announcement is going to be March 25th in New York City, and of course we're going.
Is that including me? Because I think it is.
Technically, only if Adam Lane can't make it.
So
yeah, we don't want you there. You'll get stuck in traffic.
Noted. I need to poison him.
I would love it. I think we should try and pitch that. I mean,
wait, the poisoning Adam or
I'm so burned that he's never been on the podcast. I'm so mad that we're going to poison him. Yeah, no. Anyway, we'll talk about the specifics on that, but definitely stay tuned for that on March 25th. But we're also going to see other stuff here. Besides all of the hardware stuff we've been talking about, guys, we're looking at a Snapdragon 800 here too, right? Is that correct?
I was looking for the most recent specs, and I couldn't find them.
It's got to be an 800. I mean,
it has to be.
Unless they're having
or the 805.
I was going to say, or the 805, but That would be really impressive.
Snapdragon 400, guys.
Well, it's crazy because in this same post, there's the rumored new phablet that they're talking about, which will probably have a Snapdragon 400 along with a 5.5-inch 720p screen.
So backwards.
Yeah, it is. It is.
For some reason, I feel like everyone feels like they have a compelling business reason to compete in the Galaxy Mega space, in the massive screen, small, low performance. And there's got to be some data that tells them that that's cool because they released the Max.
Yeah, speaking of, my review of the Boost Max, which is a giant phablet-like phone with a Snapdragon 400, should be live sometime soon.
That's
probably
radical.
by the time this podcast goes up.
I am pleased about it. We're actually going to touch on that when we get into ZTE a little bit later. That's good. All right. To close out the HTC thing, we also have these renders of the new Blink feed. No. I'm sorry. There's one more hardware thing. Guys, are you part of the commenter explosion about this HTC branding on the face? Like, do you hate the fact that the HTC looks to be wasting screen real estate to put an HTC logo on the bottom, or do you not care?
I really don't think they've gone out of their way just to put an HTC logo there. I really think that that's kind of absurd to think that.
Yeah, there's stuff behind that part of the screen.
No, it's empty, Joe. It is empty. There's nothing there.
Just a big old gap. You can knock on it. It's hollow.
All the logo circuitry in there to make the logo.
What if the logo lit up, guys? What if the logo glowed like ecto cooler green when you got a notification?
No. Well, maybe.
Whatever. I think that would be sweet.
Make that the notification LED. Yeah, that might be.
Now, that would be cool. An HTC notification LED.
Yeah.
But
I now hope they do that. That's
now all I
joke.
keep thinking of is that I think it was a Sony phone, the Arc or something like that had the clear plastic.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or glass. It was awesome, but it was a total waste. There was nothing actually there. It didn't do anything. It was
that's all right. It was a big see-through part with lights inside. Like there was a notification ribbon. I think more manufacturers should do that. But whatever. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. That's all right.
Yeah, if you break this phone open, there's a big hollow space behind the HTC logo.
Yeah. So, and then in addition to that, there's this new render of Blink feed, which actually isn't too new. It's like weeks old. But, man, we're going to talk about this in the mail, but I am not in love with that lima bean color, man.
It is ugly.
Oh, God.
It's spearmint mixed with some pastel Easter green. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it's lima bean green is what it is. It's
lima bean.
God, it's nasty. All right, so I hope you can change that. We'll talk about that more in listener mail. Why don't we move on from HTC for now, because we will come back to it. The new award winner for most leaked phone ever so far. And why don't we move on to a different manufacturer, specifically...
Unless you talked about this before I got here, you're missing something for HTC. It was pretty interesting. And you should know about this because you wrote about it.
I wrote about it and shot a news video on it. The new HTC Avantage you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of corresponds with the poll that I wrote earlier this week, too, that you failed to include.
Yeah, about breaking your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's old news. That's we're done.
You're old news.
That's true. It's true.
I agree. Hey, let's do this podcast on our own. We'll just make Michael sit in the corner.
I'm going to sit over here with my coffee and my burrito.
Who put him in charge?
Yeah. Oh, crap. There's things in the thing. Okay. Listen, HTC...
I hate it when that happens.
Don't you? HTC sort of reinvented or sort of introduced the idea of financing a phone purchase directly from a manufacturer several months back, which we thought was a really cool thing. It's like it's not carrier based, it's not anything. It's like, hey, if you want to buy an HTC One from HTC and your credit's good, we'll let you finance the phone. And fortunately, HTC did not stop there. Go ahead.
I got off that podcast. We said that HTC was probably one of the first to do that. I got off that podcast and went to look at the Moto X because I had a coupon, and Motorola actually did that too.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah.
Well, they sure didn't do a very good job publicizing it, or we didn't do a good job picking up on the press release.
There are financing options within Moto Maker, or at least there were. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, at any rate, HTC is not the only company to do this, but they were the one who definitely tooted their horn the loudest about it. And they followed that up with this, I think, more impressive program, which is called HTC Advantage. And in addition to the kind of uninteresting stuff, it's interesting, but the kind of stuff they've already been doing, like HTC Backup with free cloud storage, and their commitment to timely Android updates, which actually has some meat to it now. The company has announced that if you bust your HTC One, One Mini, or One Max display within the first 6 months of ownership, and you bought it after February 14th of this year, they will replace your screen for free, which is awesome.
Wow.
And they will also load a pornographic film on it when they send it back to you. Yes,
exactly.
Right. What, Joe?
So if you bought it after Valentine's Day, and apparently there was a nasty breakup or something, an argument ensued, and you ended up breaking your screen.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting, the timing.
Maybe not on your former significant other's nose.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. We don't advocate that. These are hard phones.
Yeah, we don't advocate it, but just in case, you might be covered.
You might
this
be covered.
HTC airplane mode sucks.
Why? Because it doesn't fly?
It doesn't fly.
Nice.
Anyway,
but the thing is, it gets better though, because in addition to that option, if you really can't be without your phone for that long, you're like, no, I need my phone. I can't send it back. Like the screen might be broken, but I can still use it. Then what the company will do, if you want to pay $30 or $29, they will shoot you a phone overnight. A replacement phone lands at your doorstep. You package up your busted phone and send it back. And if you want to use HTC Backup to do it, if your screen still works enough where you can do that, they will walk you through it over the phone.
Yeah, and that's the way everyone should do it. Please, everyone, take notes.
It's really cool.
You pay $30 and you keep the other phone, and they just refurbish the other, or do you swap back later?
You do not swap back later. No, you keep the phone that gets sent to you. Yeah. All this repair is done in Houston, Texas, because this is an American-only program for now from HTC Americas. HTC would not comment on whether they're going to extend this to the Desire line. I sort of doubt it, because it's a sort of a premium feature for a premium line. And when we asked about whether it would extend to the M8, they, of course, gave us their usual line about, well, we don't comment on future shit. However, we expect this program to be around for a long time. So, of course, the implied meaning there was that, yes, it will extend to the all-new HTC One.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it adds so much value to their product line to be able to do this, to make it convenient, and just knowing you're going to have an updated version of Android on your HTC, that takes all of the concern out. You know, when's Samsung going to do that? I don't know if they will.
Right.
HTC is the company that you want to get if that kind of stuff interests you or if it concerns you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see what people will do with it and see if they'll abuse it. Because when I worked at Best Buy, we had probably one of the most compelling, if not the most compelling,
exchange
protection
programs?
plans. Yeah. Because you could literally exchange as much as you wanted. You paid $15 a month, and if you smashed your phone, I think you could do it like twice a month or something. But if you smashed your phone twice a month, you could just bring it in. You didn't have to pay a deductible or anything. We'd give you a phone for a little while until your other one came in, like a loaner for just a few weeks or a few days, and they'd send you another phone in the mail. Mm-hmm. And we saw people. There was one guy I remember helping him twice in 1 week, but I helped him probably 4 or 5 times total.
Yeah.
In 6 months.
I remember hanging out at like Howard Forums back in those days, and everyone was like, "Yeah, if you get it at Best Buy, you got to get that exchange plan because they don't even ask any questions. You just get a new phone." It's like,
yep. And we were trained to not ask questions or anything. It was, oh, you have a protection plan? Cool, we'll get you another phone really quickly. Like,
boom.
And sometimes, depending on what phone it was, we would just grab a new one out of the cabinet and give them a brand new phone.
Those were the days.
Yeah. So, and that program only lasted for probably about 8 months before
because
Best Buy
it
was
lost them hundreds of millions of dollars.
I was going to say that lasted 2 weeks, and then
yeah, because I remember we had an employee meeting, and they were like, "Yeah, the protection plan is no more because we lost a lot of money on that, and people were abusing it." Yep. So I'm interested to see what will happen with this one because, you know people are.
Yeah, but
smash your phone at the 6 month mark, pay $30 and get a new one. Like,
well, they only and you can only do it once in a 6 month period. So there is a restriction on it there. There is, of course, the 6 month restriction itself, which is going to save them a lot of loss because, I think it was very clever the way they implemented that because what do you do when you first have a new smartphone? You baby the hell out of it, right?
Unless you're one of those YouTube channels that does drop tests.
Yeah. God.
Who's to say that they aren't going to just do a drop test and get a new one?
Yeah.
But that would be so shady, though. Like,
Doesn't matter.
There are times when we've been really hard up for review devices, and like it's entered my mind. I'm like, should I just get one and then return it? But we've never crossed that line of like just absolute douchebaggery. But whatever. If you're desperate, you're desperate.
I bought them and had plans to return them, and then I'm like, no, I actually like it. I'm not going to return
rocks, yeah. No, I mean, and by the way, I'm not saying like if I were a one-man YouTube operation just starting up and I wanted to like use those guerrilla tactics, I don't I'm not judging. I'm just saying we're not in a position to, we're a big old team.
Time.
Like, we got stuff 60% of the time. I do it every time. Hey, listen, the HTC phone is really going to be an impressive thing. It's going to be a flagship. It's going to be cool. Know what's not going to be impressive?
The LG G2 Mini is taking a stab.
I think that's true. And I want to say that I'm very sad about this. Joe, your thoughts. You had some strong opinions on the G2 itself, didn't you? The big one?
Well, yeah, I'm essentially running the G2. It's called the Nexus 5, but, I like it. They make good hardware. I'm not particularly enamored with their software overlay, but
no.
I like LG as a company, and I think they make good quality stuff, and then they go and make something weird.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the G2 Mini we were pretty amped on a couple weeks ago because they put out this render that made the G2 Mini look really tiny. It was cool looking, but it seems obvious that all they did was scale down a G2 image way too far. And now we have this thing that looks very close in size to the G2, and it has specs that sound like this. A 4.7-inch QHD display. and a 1.3 megapixel front facer, 8 gigs of storage, and an unnamed 1.2 gigahertz quad-core SoC.
It's probably it's probably not even like one of the crates. It's probably it's probably like one of those MediaTek processors or something.
Bob's House ARM processors. Okay, so
it's all the leftover OMAPs. What? Yeah.
If this number is wrong, if it's not 4.7 inches, if it's really 3.7 inches, then a QHD display might be a reasonable compromise. But
and then it's actually mini. Like 4 points. How is 4.7? How is that mini in any respect?
Okay, we talked about this last week, and you got on to me because I said that a 4.7-inch phone called a mini is not mini.
It's not.
Well, right, because I'm sitting here with my Moto X right now, and yes, it is palmable, yes, it is small, but it's not. I would never consider it a mini phone, right?
Yeah, but I said that last week, and you were like, no, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'm here now,
then,
so I've talked some sense into him.
Yeah,
so.
Joe,
thank you, Joe.
Yeah. Well, actually, then I understand your position. If I rode you hard on that, I'm sorry.
I expect an apology letter in the mail tomorrow.
you go on and wait by the mailbox, friend.
Embossed.
Notarized.
Handwritten.
So, and then in addition to the fact that this thing looks really unimpressive, they are announcing it in 4 colors. White, matte black, this really washed out pastel looking red, which is gross, and of course, champagne. I don't know what they're calling it. God,
okay, so
stop with these. It's so gross, everyone. What?
I just did the calculation. That's 234 PPI. QHD at 4.7 inches, so that's 234. That's straight like 2012 era.
What is that? What is that relative to the G Flex? G Flex PPI. What was it?
That was 1280,
245. So, yeah, and it wasn't the pixel density on the G Flex that bothered me. It was the fact that the screen was horrible. But
the pixel density was pretty bad too.
It wasn't that bad. No, it's
44 on a 6-inch screen is pretty bad.
Bad.
No, on the page, yes, of course, it's pretty bad. In person, no,
it was even worse.
No, you are a strange person. I'm a strange person too. We're just strange differently.
We are. Welcome to the club. We have a support group that meets every Thursday.
LG also released a bunch of details on its mid-range lineup, which we're not going to talk about because it's their mid-range lineup. But we should get some hands-on time with most or all of that at MWC. I'm just really bummed about the G2 Mini. I thought I could like that thing.
Nope.
No.
Okay, so based on the G2 Mini, which isn't really mini, and based on the article that I just wrote today, which the title is leaving me right now. But anyway, go look it up.
Nice.
is 2014 going to be less about the flagship phone, Galaxy S5 notwithstanding, and more about the emerging market device, something that we can finally get down into the $120 range.
Get down on it.
Yeah, so you can have a subsidized device that's super cheap for India, for China, for...
Well, we haven't needed to wait. I mean, that's been happening, last year was the 520 and then, the Moto G at the very end. Before that, there was another Lumia that I'm forgetting. There was a bunch of the Asha stuff, Do you mean, is this year going to be the one where we finally take notice of one of those as, in the premium space, people look at that and say, hey, that's a possibility? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm wondering if OEMs just aren't going to shift the focus away from their flagship devices and the super high spec stuff and just get a whole bunch of really, really affordable stuff out at ridiculously low prices that perform decent, but don't have great specs. And if that's where the primary focus is going to be for the lion's share of manufacturers this year, as it looks like a trend maybe developing.
I'd like that, and I agree. I see what you're saying, Joe, because we have seen a lot of companies start focusing on these budget devices that don't suck. So I don't know. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see sort of like Google's philosophy with the Nexus line kind of spread out to everything else, where you have a device that's not even necessarily low end, but budget friendly.
Yeah, well, you've got budget friendly, which the Nexus line definitely is, and then you've got emerging markets, which is you got to get really low. The phone that I wrote about today was the Nokia X, the Normandy, which could come in at $110 out the door, and their
profit margins on that are going to be like $3.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't
wait,
matter.
$110 where though? Like $110 everywhere?
It didn't say. Rumors are rumors, so it might not even be that. But if it's $110 US in whatever market that it gets out to, that's impressive. The device itself, the specs don't look that great. Will Android 4.4 KitKat with its 512 meg RAM requirement really perform well on that low? I mean, Snapdragon 200 on that one?
But it's just they're only using Android for the base, right? I mean, we don't know the official. Nothing's been confirmed yet.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
It's just like weirdo skin on top of it, so they can replace Asha with something that has a core that, for some reason, they chose Android.
As a future.
Very possibly. But
yeah, without Google Play services, I'd rather spend this extra $60 and get a Moto G. Yeah. Of course, I'm in that position. Not everybody is. I get it. But
let's be honest, Michael.
What?
You love underdogs, and you would try it out.
I would not try it out. Any phone whose only button is a back button, I want nothing to do with it. I think that's the dumbest thing ever.
That is the best foreshadowing for how your experience with a device is ever going to be. Especially like that one. Just back away. Back away.
Yeah. The only button is a backwards button.
Look, you just got to walk backwards, and that back button becomes a forward button. But now, to Taylor's point, making a $3 profit on a device sounds ridiculously low when we're talking about sometimes $200 or $300 profit on flagship devices. But that's not the point of emerging market devices. If you can sell 1 billion devices at $3 profit per device, that's really quick math, more than I make in a year. So, you might not make that much money off of a flagship device, even though your profit margin is 100 times as much. So getting the low-end market really cornered is going to be key to the next phase of the mobile marketplace, the mobile technology. That's what we're going to see. Just me predicting the future there.
Do you think
I could be wrong?
While we're predicting the future, do you think, since we're talking about low-end phones now, do you think that Lenovo will continue offering devices like the Moto G after the acquisition is complete?
I sure hope so. In fact, talking to some of the people who commented on my article earlier today, they were complaining that the Moto G is essentially stateside only, at least at that affordable price point. But now with Lenovo at the helm, they might be able to get a Moto G-like device to the rest of the world at Moto G-like prices, just because they're more international, they're more, they're out of China, they've got all those, they've got those supply chains and distribution channels. Yep, exactly. So I'm holding out hope. and that's the best we can do is hold out hope, right?
That's all we can do. I want to ask you, Joe, if you want to bring it home in the Android section before you go with a little talk of what ZTE is bringing to the show.
Regarding the Grand Memo 2 LTE, the smartwatch, and more.
That's what I'm talking about. Don't forget about that Firefox phone, man.
Oh, the Firefox phone. Yeah, I'm looking right at the picture, and it does say Firefox OS right in front of it.
Right on.
Exactly. So Firefox OS is really interesting. I like the concept. I really, really like what Firefox for smartphones is doing. The fact that you can have a plugin that will automatically switch all your web traffic from just HTTP to HTTPS, so it's all encrypted and whatnot. I think that's a really cool thing they're doing, and I hope that's brought over to Firefox OS as a default. I think that's great. It's got an upward battle because, come on. We've got 3 major players in the mobile OS industry right now. BlackBerry's coming in a very distant 4th, and now we've got Firefox OS as a 5th. I'm not going to hold my breath. Yeah. So I'm not going to hold my breath on it. But anyway, the Grand Memo 2 LTE 6-inch phablet with an ultra slim design. That looks cool. Looks interesting.
I see this link here that says we got to check out the first Grand Memo at last year's MWC. I don't remember that at all. So I'm clicking that link and I'm like, was it me that had my hands on? Are those my hands in this shot? Because I don't remember this one bit.
Yeah, and I don't recall hearing about it from last year's MWC either. So
yeah, that's me. There I am.
There you are.
You know what it looks like?
Views. What?
It looks. You know what it is? I believe that's the Boost
Huawei
Max.
Ascend? Wait, is this the iconic phablet?
It looks like it.
Year? I'm muting my droning noise. Let me see. There I am. It does look like the iconic phablet.
It's
What's
5.7 inches.
Did I ever
5.7 inches?
Turn it around, you dummy. All right, so yeah, when I turn it around, no, it has a brushed. Nice, dude. It has
sorry.
It has a brushed, like a hairline metallic plastic finish on the back.
I think
it may have been the
just
early
updated
model.
it.
Yeah, but wait, doesn't the iconic phablet have a 8 megapixel shooter?
Yeah.
So this one had a 13 megapixel shooter. So it's not the same thing. It's
well, I think it's on the same frame then.
Yeah,
it's an iteration. Small incremental improvements. That's a good thing, right?
No, not always. What else are they bringing? They're going to bring some smartwatch action. We're really hoping it's not a reference design this time, right?
Yeah, we need other players in the smartwatch industry that knock it out of the ballpark, and we don't have that yet. So
we do not. There's plenty of room in that space.
Yeah, right now, this is me talking, but Pebble still is the best smartwatch out there because it's not trying to do all kinds of crazy and wacky stuff.
And maybe the Galaxy Gear 2. Hey.
Maybe, but it's because it's not doing crazy stuff that makes it so good, but we're not going to really find out what that knockout feature is until we see one of these wild and crazy features that really hits home. So it's an interesting time in the wearables arena right now. It's going to continue to evolve, and we'll see who wins.
All right, we will. Taylor and I are going to laugh a lot at this Huawei commercial in a second, but do you have to go?
I'm good for about another 15.
All right, did you happen to look at this video?
I have not watched the video.
So Huawei releases this ad, okay, team, teasing what they're going to be bringing to MVC. And it is shot beautifully, but it basically utilizes this concept of someone talking to his phone, the narrator talking to his phone about what to expect from the show. And then the phone responding in this horrible, like, Siri mashup thing. Like, I'm going to pop my headphones out so y'all can hear this magic here.
How can I help you?
What's new at this year's
Mobile
World Congress?
I'll take a look for you.
So it's this kind of like Siri with an Asian accent, which is weird.
There's a new tablet with a beautiful, slim design.
Yeah.
You'll need to enlarge the screen to see it.
You need to enlarge the screen to see it. And he's watching it on an iPhone, so that's a funny little joke. They're pimping huge battery life.
Days of use.
Wow.
So the whole commercial is narrated like this.
Smartphone with an amazing front camera.
Would you want to watch a commercial like this for any length of time?
No.
So
for kicks and giggles.
Yeah, I'm going to stop playing it, and I got the headphones back in. So the whole thing is it terminates after a 60-second spot with, what are they, Fruit or Samsung? No, they are Huawei. It looks like Huawei is ready to amaze the world again. Maybe you guys can help me remember. When did Huawei amaze the world the first time?
With its, what was that thing? I can't even remember the name of it. That giant phone, the Ascend Mate from 2013.
Was that, did they amaze us with that?
Well, that's what they said. They said they amazed us.
Oh, they said they amazed. Yes, but was anybody truly amazed? Is my question.
That doesn't matter. They said it.
Oh, they said it. I see.
And they said it at CES this year as well.
You know what amazed me?
What?
When they tried to come in with like routers and stuff for the internet backbone, and the U.S. government shut them down and said, no, you can't do that because you're spying on us, and spying is bad, and we want to be the only people that can spy.
We want to be the only ones spying on us.
Only we can spy on our own people.
And everybody else.
No, so like their consumer line, the only Huawei phone I've reviewed has been the Ascend P1 back in 2012, and it was an enjoyable experience. It was a fine little device, but I've never, ever been amazed by this company's smartphone offerings. I've never been amazed by their tablet offerings. And it's not just a question of us being stuck in the U.S. I've been to MWC, I've been to IFA where they've been showing this stuff off. I've gotten a bunch of review devices. There's just nothing amazing about it.
They make a bunch of budget phones.
Yeah.
And that's where they are very profitable, I guess, is the word.
There's a lot of profit in budget
huge.
and emerging markets.
It's a huge company, obviously, but I don't know when you're gonna be like, oh, what are they, Fruit or Samsung? Like, okay, no, they're Huawei. It looks like they're ready to amaze the world again. No, you need to stop.
You amazed us with that video, that's for sure.
Yeah, like it just, I don't know, it just bugs me because I think this really gets under my skin because we have now. It's such a saturated market that companies feel free to come in and just be like, remember how we blew you away with this thing? It's like, no, you didn't. You're just manufacturing a victory out of fake history.
like the Ascend Mate 2 at CES, they said that, it was going to amaze us. They said that several times during the press release or the press event. And it's a 6-inch or 6.1-inch phone with a 720p display, 16 gigs of storage, a Snapdragon 400 chip.
Now, and Taylor, that is amazing, to be fair.
The only amazing thing about this phone is the 4,050 milliamp hour battery.
Yeah.
But they also said the amazing part was that it would do reverse charging, which we later learned is not really a big deal.
Right. I think that's a cool idea. Like, I think that idea is a cool one, and I think it should be implemented across their whole lineup. That's a cool differentiator. It's not. It's not going to blow our hat off, no, but it's cool.
You can do it with any phone that has on the go, right? I thought that was what we found out.
Is that what we learned after the fact?
Yeah, that and the fact that no one is actually ever going to let you charge your phone off theirs.
Not until batteries get a lot bigger, right? But yeah, so it just bothers me when the Huawei is by no means the only one guilty of this. We've seen all of the regular players do it. We've seen a lot of the new players do it. Like, are you ready to be blown away? And then you get this thing and you're like, yeah, I was ready. And now you've catapulted my expectations into the stratosphere, and now you've delivered something that I feel like I could find at the 7-Eleven on the corner in some blister packaging for $30.
You get it at the tech section of CVS.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I go to Walgreens and find that. So anyway, I hope that it's something really cool. But when I'm watching this video, and even though I can get past all the crap about the video I don't like about its presentation, it's like just calling out stuff like great battery life. Okay, good. Well, we have been asking for that for a long time. I'm not amazed. And like,
it's exactly what Apple is going to do if and when it releases an iWatch or its own wearable. It's going to revolutionize with a magical product.
Yes,
but Apple has done that before. And not only have they made those claims before, but they've actually followed up on it. No, not sort of. I mean, people say the iPhone started the smartphone world. It didn't. Okay, there were smartphones around before then, and I continued.
You take that back.
What? No, it's true. It didn't. But the thing is, it consumerized the smartphone, which was very important. It did reinvent the world. It didn't invent the world. It reinvented the smartphone landscape. And I think if you deny that, then you're just so far out of touch. Then I can't.
No, they stole. They took everything that was good from their competition. They packaged it up into a really nice, pretty-looking package. They added a whole bunch of nice user interface and user experience knowledge and expertise to it, and they released something that was revolutionary and made everybody stand up and go, holy crap, we've got to do that.
Fine, yeah,
we've got to beat that. And it was so much so that Microsoft essentially went out of business. They got out of the Windows Mobile scene. They gave up. They threw in the towel.
Microsoft liquidates assets. Joe Levi says
we should just go home because we don't know what we're doing anymore.
You heard it here first. But no, they did. They gave up on Windows Mobile, which they already had so entrenched so that they could start all over again.
Well, they had
that's
to start.
How powerful it was.
It was hugely powerful. So that's my point. So Apple has done that before. They did it with the iPad too, even though it was less groundbreaking at first. We were all kind of looking around being like, wow, Steve's just kind of browsing around on the internet up there. Like, this is weird. But then all of a sudden, oh my God, it did everything. Yeah. And so Apple has the cred to back it up.
Yeah.
And until you have – no, they legitimately have the cred to back it up. And you have to give them that.
They have the cred to back it up.
My point, yes, they have the history, but they're still going to try to launch this – wearable as if no one else has ever launched a wearable.
No, and that's what they do, and that's part of their shtick. And yeah, of course, and you can hate it, it's fine, but they are most likely going to do the exact same thing in this category. They're going to take a bunch of stuff that, as Joe made the point about, we've already seen, yes, but they're going to hone each one of those elements, put it all together under one roof, and sell it in a really good-looking package. And that's what they do, and they do it well. My only point, the only reason we say this is because when people draw conclusions between Apple and a company like Huawei doing this weird commercial, is because Huawei doesn't have the cred to back it up because they've never amazed anyone with a smartphone.
Well, and not only that, there's something about negative advertising that just rubs me the wrong way. It's, if the way that you're going to say our product is great is by taking a stab at somebody else's product, first of all, that's bad taste. But second, that means now for you to have any credibility, you've got to take the person, the company, whoever, that you just drug through the mud and come out with something that's not only better than what they have, but significantly better than what they have.
Taylor had a whole piece on this a while back, right?
I did?
Yeah, it was about the Scroogled campaign?
Yeah.
It wasn't a piece, or was it just like a tweet? I forgot what it was.
It was just a tweet.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it wasn't a piece. But yeah, Joe, completely, absolutely, I agree. So,
and I think we're all on the same page. There's no way that Huawei right now can release something that's on par with what Apple has. No way. In the future, anything's possible, but they've got to not only now meet that, but they've got to blow that out of the water, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, we have to stop seeing these attempts to basically rehash what somebody else has already released, and we have to see something truly new or just so tight and on point that it doesn't matter that it's a copy of what someone else has done.
Well, I'll take a difference of opinion on that. Everything out there has already been invented. We're not coming up with anything new. We're coming up with new uses.
True.
Yeah, sure it is.
That's not true at all. That's what people said about like the light bulb in the 1800s.
Right, and we still have this thing that you plug in that emits light. Now, we've improved it. We've polished it. We've come up with these new technologies. They last longer. They put out a better light. They use significantly less energy. They're produced in a better manner now that don't include mercury in them unless you still have those twisty ones.
Yeah, so everything about them is different, yes.
It's the same product.
It's not the same product. Better. It's completely different.
Can I just put a huge hole in your whole argument, Joe?
Now you too. I was on your side, dude.
Torpedo 2, fire. What?
Time machines, they don't exist. And if I can get one in my phone, I would more than gladly have a time machine in my phone. So boom, giant hole in your whole argument. Not everything has been invented.
Oh, hey, dude, I just put together a Lego kit of a DeLorean with a Mr. Fusion on the back of it. So,
so I don't know what you
telling
mean,
me
bro.
that if I put a sticker of a DeLorean on my phone that it is then a time machine?
No, you've got to build a flux capacitor into it.
Print them up.
Oh, crap.
You don't know they don't exist. There might be a code of conduct that won't let them tell us that it exists.
Cool.
That
is very true.
No, you're right. Joe is saying that everything is, to a degree, an iteration on something that went previous, right?
Yeah, it's repackaged stuff that no discounting. The LED light bulb is significantly better than the stuff that we had way back in the 1800s.
No way.
It's better than a gas lamp. I will give you that.
You're telling me lead-based paint is not a good thing?
Are you telling me that what we have in these glass bulbs is significantly different than the sun? I do not understand.
It's like a miniaturized sun in a glass jar.
Son, that is of the devil.
It's like the in Generations with the supernovas in the Christmas ornaments on the tree in the Nexus. All right, listen, we have to move on.
We went all kinds of places on that.
We sure did, yeah.
That was awesome in its epicness. How many times did they have to hit that skip 30 seconds button?
Oh, I think they've completely tuned out. I think we're down to our core 50 followers on this one. So we're going to move into Windows Phone. I want to give you, Joe, the opportunity to gracefully bow out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that now, not because I don't like Windows Phone and because I badmouth Windows Mobile, but I got another job to do. So
what a fanboy.
I know. Hit me up on Twitter, guys, and leave
Tell them how
comments
much of a fanboy.
At Joe Levi. Send your fan mail and complaints to at Joe Levi on Twitter.
Send all your Pocketnow Weekly hate mail to at Joe Levi on Twitter.
No, you know what? You're going to get a wave.
To podcast at.
Oh, that's right. No, you're going to get a wave of adoration because people have been asking for you for weeks. I've wanted you back on the show for weeks, but, you're a difficult man to schedule, and why is that? You're busy doing a lot of great stuff. That's why.
Well, and I make time for Pocketnow, but a lot of you don't realize this. I get up in the morning, I do my work, all day long. I'm putting in, 45, 50 hours at the day job. I come home, I'm tired, I spend time with my family, and then as soon as everyone goes to bed, I sit down and I do Pocketnow stuff.
My God, I couldn't editorialize after a day like that.
It's not always easy, but that's what I do. So my schedule is opposite. My commitment to the podcast and to the show is not in question. It's just trying to get me on is difficult, and I would love to be on more, but podcasting at 10 o'clock Mountain means Michael's got to stay up and be sober past midnight.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like doing that.
I don't think that's possible.
It's rough. I actually podcasted until 1 a.m. last week, and that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was very rough.
But I love our listeners, and I'm here. Just I will be here as frequently and as often as I can. And if you disagree with me, well, you can just go to. That's fine. That's fine. We can have our own opinions and still respect one another at the end of the day because we have the right to have different opinions. That's cool. That's fine.
There you go.
I respect that.
I like it. So
you know what? I can agree that your opinion is wrong.
There you go. Wow. See? Perfect.
We can just end the show here.
That's wonderful. So,
Joe, thanks again for your time.
Thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. And in the immortal words of Bill and Ted and the Wild Stallions, be excellent to each other.
Hey, Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain, right?
that was an obscure reference that I didn't understand.
That's all right. Joe got it. That's all I care about.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye, Joe.
I also have some announcements.
You have announcements? Well, we did announcements before. What are your announcements?
It's only one announcement.
What is your announcement singular? That the Untethered podcast is now on what streaming venue?
Oh, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh.
But, if you want to, I can plug that too.
Plug it at the end. What is your announcement?
Boost Max review is live.
Nice.
And it is a contrast to Michael's review from last week. His Z1 Compact review was titled the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact Review, Small Phone, Big Performance. This is the Boost Max review, Big Phone, Small Performance.
I was wondering if you were going to do that. Okay.
I just forgot to change it and Steven pushed it live, so it stays.
It's been the week of that, too. Did you see my tweet yesterday where I accidentally posted my Sony story?
No.
Yeah, I hit publish instead of save draft, and it was already in, like, I was just wanted to schedule it for later, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is live now. Enjoy, everyone.
Well, look at there. I'm still editing, and it has 30 comments. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, good. Everyone who's interested in what it's like to have a big screen phone on a prepaid network in the United States, go check out that review. Taylor, well, your one-sentence verdict?
No.
Alrighty.
No, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It was just there were some performance issues that really just kind of made it difficult to use. One, I didn't have service on Boost here in Charlotte, which doesn't make any sense because this is a very big market for Sprint and LTE.
Yeah.
It's a huge market. I'm in the center of a huge LTE market, and I got 1 to 2 bars of 3G 95% of the time that I was reviewing that phone. So, and I had 2 different ones, and I had the same problem with both. So it was not just the phone. It was, I really don't know what it was.
Well, I think what the issue is, when was the last time you used a Sprint phone on their native network? Or, excuse me, it's the same network, but when was the last time you used a Sprint branded phone down there?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
WiMAX was still in existence.
Oh, okay, so it's been. So I think you've probably a change in the loading of the network since then. There may have gotten bigger in terms of customers without getting more capacity improvements. But also with Boost, I believe the roaming agreement that Boost has on Sprint, or the MVNO agreement, is that, even though Sprint owns Boost, is that there's no 800 megahertz roaming built in. So are you stuck on 1900 the whole time with Boost?
I had to have been. I mean, there were some points where I would connect to LTE, but it would be 1 or 2 bars.
Okay. Wow.
So it was very strange because I've had a much better experience with Sprint here in the past. But I mean, it's a launch market for Sprint in most cases. I think we were one of the first, if not the first, to get WiMAX.
Did you have that Sprint Spark?
Oh God, yeah.
Were you on a family plan with that Sprint Spark? God,
no.
I wish they would change their freaking marketing.
But I mean,
it's Nextel done. That's what I miss. Done. Hey, I'm glad. That review is up. I'm going to read it because I'm actually interested in the answers to that question. I'm glad ZTE was able to get you a replacement unit on the quick so that you could see if you had a defective demo unit.
Yeah, and they were great.
Yeah, they're always
great about it. Yeah,
they're really awesome. We like the people there, and we're looking forward once again to playing with the Nubia 5S and the 5 Mini, for the 5, whatever the hell the small one is.
Mini compact.
I'm tired of waiting. I was so amped on that camera. Now it's been weeks and weeks and weeks, and I still don't have the thing. It's like, let me play with the 5S. I want to use that camera. Man, come on. Anyway,
speaking of cameras, since we're moving into Windows,
Phone.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you don't have this on the rundown. I'm using the Lumia Icon.
I don't have it on the rundown because don't have your review up yet, and this was a very long rundown, so I kind of trimmed some stuff. But how are you liking it?
I'm actually liking it a whole lot. The camera is great. It's not the 1020, but it's just as good.
It's the same hardware camera as the stupid sentence. It's the same camera hardware as the 1520, correct?
Yes.
20 point or whatever.
It's 20 megapixels. Takes native at 5 and 16.
You just got real southern there. That was funny. Takes native
pictures at 5 and 16 megapixels, and it comes out every now and then. I try my best to keep it at bay, but
how's it like?
Sneaks out.
How is it using Windows Phone on a 1080p resolution on a what is it, a 5-inch screen?
Yep, 5-inch. It's basically the same display as you get on the Galaxy S4. They're not the same panels, but they look very, very similar.
But you're running Windows Phone with its extra columns and at that higher resolution. It's got to look pretty good.
Yeah, it does look very good. It looks very nice.
Yeah, I've been having this weird thing. Maybe next week I'll write an empty nest on the 1520 because I've been missing that phone recently for some reason. Even though I found it way too big to use on a daily basis, I kind of really liked it. And
but I really like this. I love
just condensed.
The tiniest things are what really put a phone over the top for me, and on this one, it's the glass on the front.
The glass on the front. What is it? Does it flow down into the sides?
Yeah, it's tapered on all 4 edges, and it's just that's so nice.
Did you have any experience with the 928 for Verizon?
No.
Okay, so what you have, the Icon looks exactly like the 928. It's just blown up in every dimension, basically. The Icon did the same thing with that very slight curve on the glass at the edges.
That's a Verizon thing, because the Droid DNA did it as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's a Verizon thing. But it's just, I love it. I love it when they do that. And I don't know why. I can't explain it. It just makes the phone feel so much nicer.
It does, yeah, because it catches the light at those edges, and like when you're moving around in your hand, it's like you can tell that it almost looks like, I think I described it once as if you lay the phone face up on a table, it looks like you filled up a dish with some viscous liquid that's just about to spill over the edge. But it hasn't. I love that look. I think that's
the Nexus 4, I think, is the only other phone that I remember that did that. But yeah, this is
there's another one.
So nice.
No, it all started with the N9, which turned into the Lumia 800, because that had it. Yeah. So it's cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's awesome. I know you're. It's been a little while since you've had a Windows phone. Taylor, listeners, has compared it to the 1020 so far and the Galaxy S4. Both those comparisons are up. So yeah, all right. So we'll see that review soon. I'm very, very, very much looking forward to seeing that. I am very jealous of your Pelican case, you weirdo.
Do I get to keep the Pelican case? Because Nokia, you're probably not going to see that again.
Really don't think you are. No.
That is such a nice case.
Yeah, no, it's lit too, and the headphones, and oh man, I wish that was the retail packaging.
I forgot about the headphones. They're still in the box.
You got to use the headphones.
God.
I love the all the comments where it's like every third comment is like, is that the retail packaging? No.
Yeah, everybody gets the Pelican
these
case.
phones in a massive suitcase. That would be amazing.
The case itself probably costs like, I don't even know what Pelican
probably
case
like $150 just for the case. Yeah. Oh man.
And those headphones are $200.
Are they?
Yeah.
Jesus.
They're wireless NFC headphones.
Smart move, though. You know, you get Nokia. What do? You look at the situation, you see the unboxing landscape, and you're like, oh, wow. Carriers generally put their phones in really boring boxes. Sometimes manufacturers like break the mold, but it's still a little tiny box. Hey, let's do something crazy. Let's do a Pelican case that's custom built to light up when you open it. Like, what? It's awesome.
When I had to go to FedEx to pick it up, and when I did, I was like, can you believe that's just one phone? And the guy's like, there's no way. This is way too heavy. And it's this giant, like, 2 foot long, 1 foot by 1.5 foot box. And the guy's like, that's not a phone. I'm like, yeah, it's just one phone.
Yeah. You should have popped it out of the box right there and just like had the Pelican case and taken out some handcuffs and like handcuffed it to your wrist and gotten into your waiting limousine.
Shot the unboxing in a FedEx office.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, don't do that. No, it'll get stolen or something. It'll get lost like our 2520.
Oh, God.
So let's talk about Windows Phone not being at MWC. That's the latest rumor, which is weird, and I don't know if I believe it. However, the source is Recode, so it's hard not to believe it. We know Nokia will be there, and we're pretty dang sure the Nokia X is going to be their headliner. But a new report says no. MVC will be a virtual no man's land as far as new Windows Phone 8 hardware goes. But what about, Stephen asks, phones like the Lumia 630 or the rumored 930 that we thought we might see there? But then the backside of that is that the 630 is supposed to run 8.1, and we're probably over a month away from seeing that. So, hey, if we don't see much from Windows Phone, I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to be surprised. I'll put it that way. What were we going to say, Taylor?
Maybe we'll see a preview of 8.1. That'd be nice. Even though it's not Microsoft's.
But it's not Microsoft. It's Nokia.
It's not Microsoft and Nokia are.
They're not legally one yet.
Not legally, but they've been working very closely for a long time. It wouldn't be out of.
Yeah, I know.
It wouldn't be out of.
It would be out of character. Microsoft wants to show off their own platform. They don't want Nokia to do it, even though they're almost joined at the hip.
There's also another person running Microsoft now, so.
Everything's up in the air. Everything's crazy. The Action Center, though, has been demoed on video, and my worst fears are confirmed. It drops down from the top just like everybody else.
Yay!
Yeah, so there's this video from Unleash the Phones, which shows Action Center in all its glory, and you can drag down from the top. This is the Notification Center Windows Phone. You can drag down from the top of the screen, and it's a Notification Center that looks like a Windows Phone Notification Center.
And they had such an original name for it.
I like Action Center. You don't like Action Center? I think it's better than Notification Center.
There's a notification center. There is control center on iOS. And then now there's Action Center on Windows Phone.
Hey, man.
Call it something. Call it the Action Panel or Access Panel.
I don't care.
Access Panel is awesome.
Access Panel would be pretty cool, actually. I don't
call
care
it the Access Panel.
I don't care what you call it. Just don't make it come down from the top. This is dumb. It's consistent, and everyone will know it's up there, I guess. Except, no, they won't, because at least with Android, there's a visual cue up there where it's like you see your message previews up there and stuff, and we complained about that last week. I still think it belongs to the bottom, but whatever. It's up at the top. You know there's stuff going on up there. On the iPhone, when there's no notifications up top whatsoever, there's no visual cue ever to pull down your notification shade.
I only ever do it by accident.
Yeah, every time I show my parents that it's up there, they're like, "Oh, right. Oh, what is this?" And I'm like, "It's the notifications that we."
Has this always been here? I showed you last week.
Exactly.
No, I don't think you did.
Exactly, and it's not their fault. It's just dumb. And this looks to be the same thing. It doesn't look like they're maybe when Toast notifications come in, they'll have a little handle on them that you can pull down. Maybe that'll make it clear. But whatever. I'm not going to get too much heartburn about it because any kind of notification center on Windows Phone is a big plus. But I really think that this should live. This should live to the left of the home screen. That's still a big unused space. They're not doing anything else with it.
That would make sense, but then you would have trouble accessing it from within applications.
That's true, because applications use the left to right swipe as a consistent UI element. So,
boom.
Yeah. Shakalaka. Well, that's the end of that.
So maybe you could do a drag from the edge of the display.
Yeah, the bezel drag. And that would bring it into some degree of unity with Windows 8. Because you've got all those bezel actions in Windows 8. That would make some sense. Or, just bring in the charms bar. I think that's one of the more intuitive gestures of Windows 8 once you get it's not intuitive once you get used to it. That's a stupid thing to say. Okay, it's one of the more fun things once you get used to it. Maybe none of it is intuitive. I don't know. But when you drag in from the side to bring the charms bar in, I think that would be cool on Windows Phone. Why can't we just have cool things?
I don't know. I will say that I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Good. That's good. We want to keep that turnover really fresh. Hey, Nokia introduced treasure tags. You going to buy any for $30?
No.
No, me either. What?
Snap. That's what I was going to bring up. Snap.
Oh, Snap.
Yeah, since we're getting larger phones on Windows Phone, will we see Snap make its way to...
Oh, side-by-side multitasking, that kind of Snap.
Yeah, that's Snap.
That would be really cool. But I haven't seen any indication of it from the leaks we've had from the Windows Phone SDK. Have you?
Nope.
Windows Phone 8.1 multitasking. Well, there is a Google thing. There's improved navigation and multitasking functions too, says the Tech Times.
That's all it says. Because I know with the
changing
update 3...
to multitasking too. Tom Warren of The Verge is reporting on something with regard to it. Go ahead, Taylor.
I remember in Update 3 or GDR3, however you want to call it, the multitasking, you now have a way to close open apps.
Oh, you do? Yeah, but that's extent. It's there. Microsoft is saying, or Tom Warren at The Verge is saying that developers are reporting that the back button no longer terminates the application, the active application, but it suspends it in the background. All right, so these are tweaks to existing multitasking. This isn't a new multitasking model.
See, I hate that. I liked being able to back all the way out of an app and close it, and then hit the home button just to suspend it. That makes sense to me.
See, that never made sense to me, and then I finally got used to it, and now it's not going to make none of it makes any sense. I don't know. It seems like something you should be able to swipe up from the bottom bezel and see the card view or something, and toss them away, maybe. If you're going to copy something, just copy it right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Let's move into wearables because Windows is suddenly depressing me for no good reason. I'm looking forward to your Icon review. Let's talk about smartwatches. HTC might bring a smartwatch to MWC. Why is that funny?
I don't know. And why do you call it MVC?
So W and V are very close neighbors in some alphabets, and so when Tony says MWC, he calls it MVC, and a lot of the other part of the world does that as well. And I hate the cumbersome letter W, so therefore I like the way the rest of the world says it better.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm not going to start saying aluminium and things like that. Sorry.
No, I was just curious because, it's very German to call, something with a W pronounced with a V.
Different degrees of European, yes.
Yeah, I was just...
I'm fancy.
Oh, well, I call it MWC. Actually, most of the time I just say Mobile World Congress because that just makes more sense.
Can you think of a more cumbersome letter? W. It's not even a double. It's a double V. Listen, we can talk about that all day, I'm sure, but let's not talk about it. So now that we've gotten all that crap out of the way, let's talk about this HTC smartwatch, which, by the way, that's another thing we might see from Nokia. We might see their smartwatch at MWC. Yeah. I don't know. MVC, MWC, MVWC.
This piece does not exactly say what I read recently, I think yesterday.
Supposedly, HTC has 3 new wearables it's been developing. One of them claimed to be a smartwatch based on the Qualcomm Talk.
One is supposed to be a Google Now smartwatch.
And another one is buried somewhere else in the text. The talk-based smartwatch may be demonstrated privately for carriers and other industry partners, but a public unveiling is not expected. Okay. Yeah, the wrinkle on this is that don't count on any MVC announcements of this hardware, even if some might be present. So,
okay, so one is Google Now. Yeah, one is Google Now, one is Qualcomm Talk, and the other is a music playing bracelet, though details are very sparse.
Yeah, details should stay sparse on that. That sounds lame.
But the Google Now watch, that would be the only thing that would pull me away from a Pebble.
A Google Now watch?
Google Now on my wrist. Sure. Because it would tell me more than just notifications. It would tell me automated stuff about my day, where I need to be. Oh, you have an appointment at 2, leave in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and the wrist is the perfect place for something like that. It really is. Yeah.
It really is, and you can get Google Now stuff on your Pebble from Android, but it is really, really awful because like you can turn off weather notifications, but then they stop altogether. So you would have weather on your Pebble just randomly throughout the day. Weather,
I hate that.
Which is fine, but if you do, say, if you have Google Now notifications set up on Pebble and you're navigating, since you're navigating through Google Now, every time that you go somewhere, like I remember setting it up, I think that might be through Google Maps, but something tells me there was something through Google Now on the Maps thing, but it would update every 10th mile.
Yeah.
So I'm driving and it's
that's so freaking frustrating. When we've been getting all this snow, like I get, I have WeatherBug and Google Now weather working in concert. So like every 10 minutes, my phone's like, hey, there's a winter storm warning. I'm like, look, it's freaking 6 inches of snow. I think I can deal with it. And when I swipe you away, I don't need you to come back. I don't need you to tell me that I could freeze to death if I went outside with no clothes on because there's snow. Thank you. I don't care. Stop it.
Yep. I'm right there with you. Can I say, since I've been using this Pebble Steel for over a week now, I've been using it on iPhone because officially the App Store is only available on the iPhone unless something's changed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's available on Android quite yet. I have it on Android, but it's unofficial, and I'm not going to do a review with unofficial software. So I've been using it with my iPhone for the past week and a half, and it is one of the most annoying experiences ever.
Using your Pebble with the iPhone?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because you can control what notifications come to your Pebble when you're using the iPhone, but you control it through what goes to Notification Center. And it works, but the problem is that you get notifications, you can get them in the lock screen, but then if you have them as banner notifications, when you unlock your phone, those banners don't play until you unlock it. So you get all the notifications when it's locked, and then when you unlock it, you get them again.
Yeah. No,
and
that's not a good way to do it.
And they're all successive. So you have them in the banner, you have them on the lock screen, and then when you unlock, it's just, oh my gosh, it's the most annoying thing.
This is where the next overhaul in UI experience is going to be. And we're seeing little hints of it with some messaging hubs. Like, I don't know if it's Hangouts or if it's the Pebble Notifier on Android or whatever it is, but some messaging apps are smart enough to be like, hey, do you want to be notified for every message or just, the first new message in a while? Because that's much smarter. Because, my girlfriend and I use Facebook Messenger all day long, and man, if my phone's in my pocket and I can't get to it because I'm like doing something, I'm like shooting a video or whatever, and she'll hit me with Facebook messages like 5 in a minute period, and that many buzzes on my wrist, I just want to like throw something. It just bugs me.
That's how my mom texts messages.
Yeah, like
she's
when
like, hey,
like the enter key is like the punctuation, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
so
hey,
when my mom texts me, I just have to like I have to woosah when she texts me sometimes.
You have to what?
Woosah, like woosah, like just tone it out. Just tone it out because my computer is making noises.
Yep.
My phone is buzzing.
That
my other phone.
Hangouts sound too. Bonk, 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 and you can't mute them. There's no way to mute them. Except unless you're Taylor Martin, in which case I get no notifications that you've ever texted me, and then that's why I don't respond to your Hangouts.
Yeah, thanks, jerk.
Yeah,
here comes
jerkway.
Here comes the air conditioning again.
Yeah, there it is. Hey, if you want a Galaxy Gear before the Galaxy 2 lands for some reason, there are new deals that push its price below the $200 mark, where it, probably always should have been, but we'll see. We'll also see what they do with Tizen. If indeed the new Galaxy Gear is powered by Tizen and not Android. But this is an AT&T offer offering $100 off the Galaxy Gear with the purchase of a new Samsung Android phone, which includes a Note 3, S4, S4 Active, or Galaxy Mega. This is an in-store only offer, so United States, of course. And the Best Buy deal also. The $300 Galaxy Gear has had its price slashed in half, so it's available for just $150. Wow, that's cheaper than the Pebble Steel. It's $100 cheaper than the Pebble Steel, isn't it? Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, good on you, Best Buy. They must have a lot of inventory they want to clear out.
Yeah, I'd get a Gear if, one, I could type messages using Minuum. Because
you can.
I can now, right this second.
We saw it in use.
Yeah, but it's not available to the public. And if I could do Google Now on it, I would have a Gear. And if it didn't have to be used on a Samsung device.
Yeah, well, that's the sticking
It's a lot of
point for
ands.
me.
It's a lot of ands and ifs, but it's not.
Well,
it's not there.
Maybe with the Gear 2, we'll see something. We'll see the announcement that, because they said it right up front when they announced the Gear. Samsung said, "Hey, this isn't always going to be locked to Samsung phones. You'll be able to use it on other Android phones." Like Ryan Biden literally said that. So,
Ryan Biden. You think that's still going to be in play if they use Tizen over Android? Dun, dun, dun.
It's a good question. And at this point, I think they would only do that if they were too far along in the development process before they made nice with Google again. Yeah. I think that their Tizen-powered Galaxy Gear 2, if this is indeed a thing, was very much a statement. While they were still fighting, like, hey, we might do this thing.
I'll do it, man.
I got the finger on the button. So let's close out this show with some wonderful pieces of listener mail.
Sure thing.
Good. I'll kick us off, and then you can read Gary's. I'm going to start things off with Ratchanon from Thailand. Hello, Michael and Pocketnow teams. I just saw the new HTC One leak image, and I was curious about one thing. That green looks on the Blink feed, it's so terrible for me. I missed the look of Sense 5. Suddenly, one idea came across my mind. Will HTC let users change the accent color of Sense? What do you guys think about this? I think it would be nice to have that ability. Hope you have a nice weekend. Ratchanon, a.k.a. @ZZLovers on Twitter from Thailand. And P.S., he says, I just saw Michael's video, Galaxy S4 Active, on TV in my country a while ago.
Ow.
Well, Thailand, our lawyers will be in touch. No, that's what I want to hear more about that, Ratchanon. What? Okay. I mean, that's cool, but also what? So let's talk about Blink Feed. I think we talked about this earlier on the show. I don't know if you were on the show yet, Taylor, but yeah, that accent color sucks. That's a really nasty green. You were on the show. We talked about this.
It was.
So, but do you think that HTC will open up the ability to customize Blink Feed to change that accent color?
I would hope so.
I mean, I would hope so too, but do you think they will?
Why would they choose one specific color that's not neutral if they're going to lock them into that, like lock users into using that color?
True.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
True. And why have an accent color at all in Blink Feed unless you're going to use it to convey some type of information? So maybe I'm thinking that you'll be able to tell it what color you want your, your business news, you want that to be blue. Your world news, you want it to be green, something like that.
Yeah.
If
that
there's
would make sense.
Image, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. But it would also make it very busy and ugly, I think. If you've got a lot of throw up, a vomit of information on your home screen, and it's all different colors.
Well, but remember, it's blink feed, so it's not like Windows Phone. There's not like a whole bunch of tiles. It's only like 3 to 5 tiles on your screen at once in one swipe. And we've seen Google implement it well in their Gmail app. You know, if there's no thumbnail image for an email sender, you know, you get that multicolored thing. So
I'm just looking towards the bottom of that render where you see the guy hugging the girl. At the bottom of that tile, there's some green, and then you can see a full screen, like a full width tile below that. I'm just thinking in terms of that. You know, once you, like, if you're scrolling through, you've just got so much contrast that it just kind of gets more difficult to read. That's all I'm thinking of.
We don't want that. But, of course, blink feed, that was one of the criticisms I had. I like blink feed, but, of course, it does make it harder to read when you're trying to read a headline that is superimposed over an image.
Yeah.
But it looks nice, but it makes it harder to use. I'm looking forward to using blink feed again. Seriously, it's been a while since I've used Sense. So
I'm not.
That's so weird to me. I really, really like Sense.
I didn't like Sense. You
didn't like the new Sense?
No, I haven't liked Sense since Windows Mobile. Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time.
It's been a while.
It's a long time to say now. Wow. All right. The next one here is from Gary Holly. Why don't you read that one for us, brother?
Will do. Hold on, I need some water first because
that is taxing on the pipes when you do the Hogan voice.
It is that, and I had a breve a little bit ago, and I just needed some water.
Sorry, you had a what?
A breve.
What the hell is that? It sounds like one of those bathroom accessories.
It is not. It's a coffee drink. I just came from Dilworth.
Oh.
Anyway, long-time listener, Pocketnow Weekly was the first podcast I listened to. Now I'm addicted to them.
Awesome.
At least tech ones anyway. Love hearing Michael and Taylor with random guests. Need more Joe and Jaime.
50% complete.
Yeah, inspired me to write my blog again. Thanks.
Sweet.
Now the reason I'm writing. This has come up on the podcast before, the abuse of the flagship name with Mini attached to it. While I wasn't surprised the G2 Mini was watered down. I think that's supposed to say.
Watered down, yeah.
Watered down. I still had hope, and even then, I didn't expect it to be that bad. Do you guys expect this to change in 2014 with the Sony compact model out of the insane price of the Moto G that even mini models aren't even close to? Or do you think Samsung, LG, and others will continue this quest of who can
put the worst hardware in a phone with a flagship name?
That's pretty funny. I don't know. Like, I really just wish they would stop making low end, like tying mini to low end. It just doesn't make any sense. And basically, they're keeping their profit margins high. They're banking on a well-known brand, and then they're just cutting the corners left and right. And it's so sleazy to me.
Yep.
It's so nasty, and I hate it. Like the S4 Mini was just horrible. But the only reason it was an S4 Mini was because it looked a little bit like it, and it was a lot smaller, and then the specs were just nothing even remotely close. And we've seen that dozens of times since, or at least a half dozen.
Yeah. I'm going to cop out like you did on the last one. I'm going to say I don't know if the landscape will change, but I really hope it does. And I hope what the inciting incident for that is the Z1 Compact, because Sony has now demonstrated that you do not need to compromise much to put out a mini device. Now, I wonder if they will. I think the key, the barometer that we're looking for here is if Sony does it again. Because if they didn't make enough money from the Z1 Compact after a year, say, it cost too much to make because they used top-shelf components in a smaller casing, but nobody bought it because nobody wanted the smaller screen, I think that's going to be a very, very interesting indicator that maybe this hankering for high-end performance in a small package is exclusive to a handful of nerds who go on podcasts and write about technology, right? But if they do, in fact, follow up the Z1 Compact with the Z2 Compact or whatever this coming flagship, the mini version, is going to be, I think that'll be very telling indeed. And I really hope that latter thing happens. I hope that goes through, and I hope other manufacturers look at that and be like, hey, let's go ahead and emulate that. But not in the way of like the HTC One Mini, which not only didn't bring top-shelf specs, but also didn't make it that much smaller. Same deal with the G2 Mini and so on. So I hope it changes in 2014, Gary. I guess we'll just have to see.
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Or they could just make phones like the Moto G, which doesn't necessarily have to be mini, and it's still great.
Yeah, no, that's nice too. But there's something compelling about the mini tag, right? It's like you said, Taylor, because you still get to use that flagship brand, but now you have this tiny little word appended to it that means it's a smaller version of the flagship brand. I want that to become true more than I want mini as a sub-brand to go away.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I just want them to stop doing what they're doing.
I want them to bring back.
So annoying.
I want them to bring back flip-top phones. That's what I want. Hey, Gary, thank you for the email and good luck with your blogging. This one is from Andrew Barber from Buffalo, New York. Andrew breaks our listener mail rule by writing us a very long email, but I like the issue he raises, so that's why I've included it. So, Andrew, forgive us. We're going to skip a little bit. I'm going to kind of jump around inside here, but I'm writing you regarding the recent news of Google asking Samsung to go back to basics with Android. Last year, the S4 was released. There were rumors that this may be Samsung's last Galaxy S flagship phone that would support Android. Yes, we heard the Tizen rumors, of course. I remember this topic being very interesting. I work for a carrier, and I asked a Samsung rep about this. He gave me no response. Yeah, Andrew, yeah, I'm not surprised. My question to you and the rest of the team would be, what happened to those rumors? And considering recent moves with Google and Motorola and the other talks of the Android Handset Alliance agreeing to certain Google regulations, should we still consider Tizen to be a viable option for Samsung? Will it play a role in its future as a hardware manufacturer? And do you think we'll ever see a flagship device running Tizen to compete with Android? Thanks for your time. Keep up the awesome work, etc. Andrew, thank you for your email and thank you for listening and for your thoughts. I think this question, I would answer this question very differently today than I would have answered it 2 weeks ago. Taylor, same with you?
Partially. I want to hear your response first.
My response is that, once again, it's important to remind everyone that Tizen is not designed to be in and of itself a consumer-facing platform. This is something that carriers can modify and sell as their own on like mid to low-end phones and say like, it's the Sprint experience on your smartphone, and here's a bunch of portals to places where you can buy $40 ringtones and crap like that. And apparently Sprint talks about it. I don't know why. Yeah. So that's what Tizen, I think, is, and I think that's what it's always going to be. I don't think it'll ever be a viable contender to compete with Android, because it's not necessarily being positioned that way. From what I understand, I will readily admit this is not my area of expertise. This is what I hear. This is the sense that I get. So, and I think previously it was very important to Samsung as a kind of plan B. We saw the company increasingly distancing itself from stock Android, even when it didn't need to. Like, it's just kind of cooking up its own versions of stock Google options. But now that the entire landscape has shifted with the sale of Motorola and with the new agreements between Google and Samsung and the stated intention to make a Samsung device with a much closer to stock Android build, I think Tizen has become much less relevant in this respect. That's my answer. Taylor?
Well, I was reading a few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly what brought it up, but I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast, about Tizen being mainly for Asian markets.
Okay.
Where Google Play services aren't necessarily available. So you have a very similar experience, but it's all Samsung. So Samsung's existing ecosystem can be used on Tizen in another market, and you get that full experience versus just kind of an Android phone without Google Play. So it's that was what I was reading. I don't know how credible that is. I don't even remember the source. But that's what I think Samsung's going to do with Tizen, at least in the immediate future. But I think also if Samsung is going to be going towards a mostly stock Android phone, I think that they will also have incentive to build all of those features that they've put so much time and effort into, or even licensed from that other manufacturer we were talking about, maybe Panasonic or whatever it was that we were talking about, LG and Samsung licensed software from. Putting that sort of stuff into Tizen so they have a Samsung ecosystem that can compete alongside Google without making Google upset. Not necessarily just picking up and leaving Android, but building it and kind of slowly growing Tizen on the side.
You know, I don't know. I got completely derailed once you said an Android smartphone without the Google ecosystem, and it's like tortilla chips without salsa. Like,
right, and people around the world have to deal with that. They have to deal with Android without any sort of content store to literally get any sort of apps or anything. They have to download the APKs on the internet and install them. They have to sideload everything.
It's like it's 2005 and Windows Mobile all over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're living in a country where there are no Google Play services and you're using an Android phone, it's very archaic. And I think Samsung has the full ability to take Tizen and capitalize on that. That's what I think it's for.
Yeah, I just don't think they're incentivized to do it as much anymore, because now they don't have to use the nuclear option because Google just sold all its missiles, you know?
Well, it's not so much that. It's that Google isn't approaching these markets, that there's money to be made in these
those
markets.
specific markets. Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. So I'm talking like markets that are smaller, not necessarily emerging, but smaller, and Google doesn't offer their services in those countries for whatever reason. Maybe it's a legal reason. I don't know. That's beyond me.
Yeah.
But I think that there's plenty of room for a company who has the deep pockets like Samsung has, as well as their own operating system, here in this case Tizen, and its own ecosystem. It's Samsung apps, Samsung, all of this stuff, which will still work on Tizen because they're also based on the same core. Just as Migo could run Android apps because they're very similar in software, Tizen should be able to as well. So why not just take all of its software that is developed for Android, tweak it to make it work on Tizen, and then put it in those markets on hardware that already exists. So Galaxy S4, Galaxy S5 running Tizen in a market where someone can't get Google Play. That to me makes the most sense out of anything.
Well, I'm in no position to disagree with you. And I love the question. Thank you. Thank you very much for writing in, Andrew. Taylor, will you... What?
I like how you said question, kind of like croissant.
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 Coffee and croissant. That's all you want is coffee and croissant. Hey.
Today we are gathered.
All right, bring us home with this last email, will you?
This comes from Christopher Drummer. I am a huge Windows Phone fan and have been looking forward to the Lumia Icon for some time. With its arrival just a few days out, I am not sure if I should invest in the phone or wait for Windows Phone 8.1. Unlike Android phones or the iPhone, Windows Phone updates don't usually have the new hardware requirements to run all the new features. Other than removing capacitive keys, support for 3D, which no one cares about, and less bezels perhaps, do any of you think there will be a reason to wait for the new hardware?
I love this question.
I do like this question, and my answer is no. If you're okay with capacitive keys versus on-screen keys, which if you're using capacitive keys, you have more display real estate, I really don't think there's anything to worry about, because I can't imagine the phone getting much better, because right now the Lumia Icon is pretty much on par with all the Android flagships. The only difference here really, truly, is RAM. It has 2 gigabytes of RAM, where a lot of newer Android flagships have 3 gigabytes of RAM.
Windows Phone doesn't really need a lot of RAM.
Right, you really don't need that. Pretty much everything.
The RAM is there to run Nokia Pro Camera, basically.
That and the hardware, the SoC inside the Icon is kind of overkill, really. The only thing that you're going to get any sort of benefit out of it from is in gaming. I explained that in the comparison with the 1020, because it has the Snapdragon S4 Pro.
Yeah, the 1020 does, and then the Icon has the Snap 800, right?
Yeah, and they run side by side almost identically.
Yeah, because that's Windows Phone. You can run Windows Phone on like a screwdriver taped to some gum, and, with a hamster and a wheel next to it, and it's like, oh yeah, Windows Phone runs fine on this.
Yeah, and the only difference that you're really going to see is basically how fast apps load. And the difference between the Snapdragon S4 Pro and the Snapdragon 800, between the 1020 and the Icon, it was a split second at the very most every single time. And the difference, maybe say on Android, between the Snapdragon S4 Pro or Snapdragon S4 and the 800 is sometimes seconds. So it's a much smaller difference, and you really don't see many gains from it.
So what about like the physical world? What about the industrial design changes that we're that we can expect in the future. I mean, yes, the capacitive keys are, that issue. The bezel slimming kind of thing. Don't forget also the requirement has now been removed, or it was removed a while ago, and it's being increasingly de-emphasized that you don't need a hardware camera key, which I think is a mistake. It is a mistake. Yeah, that's one of the Windows Phone's best features, in my opinion. That's overstating it a little bit. Best feature ever. But it's one of the most convenient features, I would argue, and it should be there on every Windows Phone. And I'm going to be really sad to see new ones without it. But it would be my argument that the only thing that it's worth waiting for is if you want to see whether another OEM will come in and build a Windows Phone anytime soon. Certainly the rumors have been, if not hot and heavy, then at least more pronounced than usual surrounding Sony building a Windows Phone, which I think would be gorgeous. I think it would be incredible to see a Sony-made Windows Phone. But we have nothing concrete on it. Nothing concrete, and you haven't seen my Lumia Icon review yet. But I will give a little tiny preview. It's great. It is my favorite Windows Phone to date. I would pick this over the 1020. You would take it over the 1020? I would take it over the 1020. I like the design. I like how it feels. I like pretty much everything about it over the 1020. The 1080p display puts it over the top, and the 20 megapixel camera is just fine. It's better than any Android camera I've used, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. So there's that. And also, I get the sense maybe that the 1520, now we have the Icon. I get the sense, and maybe this is completely wrong, that Nokia, prior to the acquisition from Microsoft, is kicking out the highest-end hardware they can make as quickly as they can make it because of the, in my opinion, inevitable delay that this acquisition is going to represent to the manufacturing process. Microsoft is not a small company, and it's not a very nimble company either. It's a big, lumbering giant, and it's acquiring a company that's smaller than it was at its height, yes, but Nokia is still really big. And this integration doesn't, it can't happen overnight, and it's got to disrupt the manufacturing process somewhat, the design process and everything. I just am worried that we're going to see a months-long gap before we see new Microsoft-produced hardware from the Nokia supply lines, and the Icon and 1520 are meant to have been kicked out to enable us to kind of wait less impatiently. Does that make sense? Yes. Sort of. Thanks. So I think, Christopher, I guess this is all to say that I don't think there's any particular reason right now to wait if you were going to pick up something that was reasonably future-proof like the Icon or the 1520. And by future-proof, of course, I mean the highest spec devices you can get on Windows right now. And I'm not one to typically say don't wait. I'm usually the one that's like, wait, because something better is just months out. In this case, I think that this phone will be one of the best Windows phones, at least for the next year. And that might be a big claim, but I think it's true. It is a big claim. It's built very well. It is extremely sturdy, and I have had very few complaints out of it myself, which is rare for me. And this is it's on the record, but it's off the record. I might pick one of these up for myself. So look at this guy. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Taylor Martin double punch. And April 17th, Taylor Martin think piece for Friday. I picked up the Nokia Lumia Icon, and here's why. And then, 35 days later, I never used that stupid Icon anymore. Well, it happened with the 1020 because, one, the camera had the white balance issues, and two, the phone just was... They were bad. They weren't that bad. They were bad. You can manually adjust white balance. How could they be that bad? You could manually adjust it to something that got even worse. It was never that great. It was never right. You white balance people are very funny. You and your gray cards for your white balance. Go ahead. You had to manually set white balance, and then you had to take the photo afterwards and fix white balance. So the phone. So this beautiful phone had a white balance problem, and so you decided to stop using it. And the puck on the back just killed me over time. The Oreo? You don't like the Oreo? No. I like it.
if it were flush or closer to flush, then yeah.
No,
but
I'm with you. Maybe that's why
much.
I've been fetishizing the 925 and the 1520 more recently. Because if you have not seen Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, folks, if you are really amped on seeing a late 80s movie that makes all Russians bad guys, then you should go see that. It was very underwhelming in a lot of different respects. But if you like brainless action movies that belonged 2 decades ago, then you should see this. You should also see it if you want to see a movie that is basically one big commercial for Windows Phone. It's pretty cool. Like it's like blatant, and I wouldn't have liked it probably if I wasn't a phone nerd. But like every 3 minutes, it was like in Casino Royale. Casino Royale was one big Sony Ericsson commercial.
Yeah, it always is.
And
James Bond movies always
right, but Casino Royale especially. Like, I mean, he used mobile tech a lot in that movie, and that was cool. I was amped on some of that stuff. Like, I wanted that M600 or whatever it was after her phone with the. Remember the QWERTY keyboards that were 2 letters per key, the rocker keys?
Yeah.
I wanted one of those. But anyway, that's what this is.
Didn't the
BlackBerry,
Pearl,
the
BlackBerry Pearl?
Yeah, but before the Pearl. Anyway, the point is, go see Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit if you want to see a lot of Windows phones used, because spies use Windows Phone. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Every spy ever uses Windows Phone.
There are a lot of TV shows on Hulu that are just like straight up ads for Windows. It's like the shows exist just to market for Windows Phone.
Yeah, I think Nokia had an agreement with Man of Steel, the most depressing movie ever, in which there is not a single joke. And like they had a 920.
I watched my father die.
Oh my God! Everything is so serious because I'm Superman. I'm going to save you all, but I'm going to destroy the city around you while I save you all. They had a 920, I think, that had like the Nokia brand wasn't big enough on top. I guess they decided, so they like created this special silk screened one with like the word Nokia is like an inch tall, like spanning the whole top of this 920 prop phone. It's like, what are you guys doing? That's ugly. I wouldn't buy that. That's not what it looks like.
There's a show. It may be Alphas or something. I don't know what it is. My roommate watches it, but it's literally like there'll be a nice dialogue going on, and it's like a sci-fi original. It's awful. It's horrible. But there's a long dialogue going on. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we need to jump on the computer and fix this. And then it does this swooping pan of this Windows Phone tablet as they're like swiping back and forth through the home screens. And that's really all they're doing.
Oh, nice.
They're not even using it. They're just swiping
it's
back and forth.
It's like when we shoot stock footage for a review.
Yeah. And they're just like
swipe a lot.
swooping around behind them. And then while they're using their Surface, they like pull out their Windows Phone and swipe through the home screens on that.
Nice.
And then they open something and then it shifts back. I mean, it's just
Please tell me at some point the phrase, we got to Bing this right away is used. Please tell me that happened.
Oh.
God, I don't know the answer to that. Oh, let's Bing it. Okay, I'll Bing it right away. Bing just told me this. Check out the latest from Bing weather. There's a storm coming in. We got these aliens out of here.
Real hard.
All right. I think that marks the official end point of this podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, when we're binging each other back and forth.
That's always a good time to call a stop to the proceedings.
I'll have Willow make a song about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it, I think, everyone, for this episode of the Pocketnow Weekly. Thank you for joining us, folks. And again, thank you for all your listener mail every week. We love it. We do read every piece at podcast@pocketnow.com. Be sure to find us on Twitter, everybody. Joe, who left before, is at Joe Levi. Taylor, who's right here with me, is at CasperTech, CASPRTEK. And I am at Captain Two Phones, as always. Captain the number 2 phones. You can also follow Pocketnow officially at Pocketnow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Google+. And you can visit us at forums.pocketnow.com. Finally, if you enjoy the podcast, and we surely hope you do, please leave us a review on iTunes, Xbox Music, Stitcher, and wherever else podcasts are heard. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll be in your head again next week.
Untitled Podcast, bing it!
Boom! That was a good, solid pimpin'.
Plug.
God, I don't know the answer to that. Oh, let's Bing it. Okay, I'll Bing it right away. Bing just told me this. Check out the latest from Bing weather. There's a storm coming in. We got these aliens out of here.
Real hard.